The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Socrates was an influential Greek philosopher who lived in Athens during its golden age in 5th century BC. He is widely considered one of the most important figures in Western philosophy, and his famous Socratic method of inquiry continues to be used in the study of philosophy today. His teachings were based on the concept of the examined life, the idea that people should look inward and question their own beliefs in order to live a more meaningful life. Socrates was born in Athens in 469 BC and spent his entire life there. He was a highly educated man, having studied mathematics and philosophy. He was also a soldier, having fought in the Peloponnesian War. He was married to Xanthippe and had 3 sons. Socrates was an ardent believer in the importance of the individual and the power of reasoning. He believed that truth could be found through the use of logic and reasoning, rather than relying on the authority of the gods or other people. He also believed that one should always strive to live a moral life and that justice was the highest virtue. Socrates was a major influence in the development of Western philosophy. His teachings gave rise to the Socratic method of inquiry, which is still used today in the study of philosophy. He was an avid critic of democracy, believing that it was a form of government that led to the corruption of society. He believed that democracy was a form of mob rule, in which the majority made decisions without proper consideration for the minority. He argued that the majority was often ignorant and ill-informed, and that they lacked a deep understanding of the issues they were voting on. He believed that democracy allowed the people to act on their passions and desires without any real thought or consideration for what was right or wrong. He argued that democracy lacked accountability, as the people were not held responsible for their actions and could make decisions without any real consequence. Socrates believed that democracy was not a true form of justice and that it could lead to the oppression of minority groups. He believed that democracy gave too much power to the people, allowing them to make decisions that could have far-reaching consequences. He argued that democracy could lead to tyranny, as the people could be manipulated and swayed by those in power who had their own interests in mind. Ultimately, Socrates believed that democracy was not the best form of government and could lead to the corruption of society. In the dialogues of Plato, the founding father of Greek philosophy, Socrates, is portrayed as hugely pessimistic about the whole business of democracy. In Book 6 of the Republic, Plato describes Socrates falling into conversation with a character called Adeimantus and trying to get him to see the flaws of democracy by comparing a society to a ship. If you were heading out on a journey by sea, asked Socrates, whom would you ideally want to decide who was in charge of the vessel? Just anyone or people educated in the rules and demands of seafaring. The latter, of course, says Adeimantus. So why then, responds Socrates, do we keep thinking that any old person should be fit to judge who should be a ruler of a country? Socrates made many enemies in Athens due to his radical ideas, and in 399 BC, he was accused of corrupting the youth of Athens and of not believing in the gods. He was put on trial and found guilty. According to accounts of his trial, Socrates was given the opportunity to propose an alternative punishment to execution, but he refused, stating that he would rather die than be exiled from Athens. As a result, he was sentenced to death by drinking a cup of poison, known as hemlock. Socrates' death has been seen as a symbol of the importance of freedom of thought and the willingness to stand up for one's beliefs, even in the face of opposition or death. His ideas and teachings have had a significant influence on Western philosophy and continue to be studied and debated to this day.